Let's talk golf. The first pictures have emerged from Carnoustie this morning and the fairways are indeed burnt brown. Joe Molloy is with us to help us preview this. Jay Townsend was telling you this exact thing last night on the radio, that we'd all be a little bit taken aback when we saw the pictures this morning.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. We've never seen Carnoustie like this, certainly. You have to go back probably to Muirfield in 2013 for the last time we had peroxide fairways. That was when Phil Mickelson won. But in terms of Carnoustie, we've never seen anything like this. Bizarrely, and I can't remember the last time this happened, but the fairways were running faster on the Stimpmeter than the greens this week in practice. A few of the Sky Sports pundits were saying you could literally skateboard down the fairways if you wanted. They are rock hard, and it's meant that the whole week has been dominated by talk of strategy and nothing else. But yeah, it's good. People are saying it's about the most fascinating Open. Like McGinley was saying it last night, Butch Harmon was saying it, that it's like the most fascinating Open setup they can remember, because it opens up so many possibilities. We've never seen Carnoustie like this at all.
When you're talking about it opening up possibilities, you mean for anybody to come from the field and just decide that they know how to play this and strategy is more important than skill?
Yeah, so basically Harrington said on Tuesday that he's not sure if this is going to be the easiest British Open of all time or the most difficult British Open of all time, in a kind of typical Harrington overthinking everything kind of a way. So there's players driving Barry Byrne at 18, which is about 400 yards away on Monday. Tiger Woods said he hit a 2-iron about 333 yards. So in short, it's opening up possibilities for the bombers, so the likes of Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson and McIlroy. They're looking at the course and they're looking at the fact that there's not as much gorse bushes there as there were in 99. And they're just looking at the run, and they're kind of thinking maybe there's a chance we can overpower this course. Equally, the smart strategists are looking at the fact that they can literally, on long par fours, take a 6-iron off the tee and the ball is bouncing. On some holes on flat terrain, it's running on for 100 yards, which is just ridiculous. So a lot of the shorter hitters are also looking at Carnoustie and thinking, I can get around here with iron. Like Jay Townsend last night was saying that the word is that Tiger Woods is going to hit just one driver all day. Now, Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka and some of the longer hitters, like I said, think they're willing to dabble with the danger. They think if they carry that bunker, they'll run on another 100 million yards and get close to the green. And they kind of think the rough, given the weather conditions as well, isn't going to be so thick. It's certainly not as thick as 99. I'm not too sure about 2000. The weather was different in 2000. But you have, like I said, the strategists and the bombers both looking at the course and both thinking, hey, maybe this sets up okay for me and it's not going to be the horrible Carnoustie that we've seen in the past. And, you know, Shane Lowry was sceptical. So I have the quote from Lowry. He was asked about the fact that the bombers, for the first time, are looking at Carnoustie liking it. And he said, I think people have a misconception of how this is going to play. I think it's going to be a lot harder than people are seeing in practice. The greens are going to dry out. The course is like a runway out there. So I think the guys who want to hit driver everywhere, let them go ahead. And if I'm wrong, obviously I'll eat my words at the end of the week. Like, the speed of the greens is important, because if you bomb your drive and you're in the rough, which is okay, 50, 60, 70 yards, at the moment you can hold those greens. They're kind of receptive, they're that bit slower. But if they get a bit quicker, or if the wind picks up and it's harder to hold greens, then being in the rough becomes more of a penalty. It's harder to get spin on your ball and hold the greens. But certainly in practice this week, the bombers were in the rough and they were able to bounce it onto the greens and hold the greens. And suddenly, you know, they're talking 150, 160 yard advantage on the shorter strategy type play. So yeah, I can't remember an Open like it where all anyone has talked about is strategy and more strategy. It's been that kind of a build-up.
To what extent then, Joe, would there be an element of groupthink involved in the strategy over the next couple of days, that if you're one of the players lower down the ranks and you see Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods both taking out irons, there's a chance that you might abandon your driver strategy and just say, well, the big guys are all taking out the 5-iron, I'm going to follow them?
Yeah, for sure. I think today's going to be absolutely fascinating in that respect. If all the bombers come in and they're doing very well, then some of the other lads are going to have to start thinking about taking out the big stick, because clearly it's a viable tactic. And that's where the groupthink will probably kick in. Today will be really instructive in that respect. And no one's quite sure how it's going to work out, actually. I mean, Larry is voicing his concerns there. Peter Lowry yesterday on Golf Weekly, he was saying he's not buying this notion that suddenly Carnoustie is going to be overpowered. But it remains to be seen. As Shane Lowry said, he could be eating his words on Sunday. And if the big boys today go out and get a big start, get a head start, it's a really tough course to catch people on. until you get to the final 4 holes, but that's another story.
Yeah, I heard a bit of Peter Lowry actually when he talked you through those final 4 holes, and they do sound like they are the stuff of nightmares. And of course, famously, this is the stuff of nightmares for Sergio Garcia and Van de Velde in particular. And I guess, nearly. Padraig Harrington must have some nightmares too, where he wakes up and goes, "Oh, geez, I'm really glad that one ended okay for me." But what's the Van de Velde situation at this point? Have people kind of come to fully understand exactly what happened?
Well, so, look, Carnoustie is an amazing golf course, and it's seen as very fair. Like, you're talking Harrington, obviously, in 07, Van de Velde, and then the previous winners are Tom Watson, who beat Johnny Miller, 2 pretty handy players, and then you're going Gary Player, and then you're going Ben Hogan, who famously won 1 British Open, the only one he ever played in. That was in 53. That was in Carnoustie. So the roll of honour list here is amazing. So it's not like it's unfair or it gets freak winners, but 99 is maybe the anomaly. Like Van de Velde, the short version, it's a long time ago now, I guess. He was leading by 3 shots on 18 and hit driver and flared it out into... He got lucky with it. His first shot was okay. The driver wasn't the end of the world, but then hit the grandstand, bounced back into rough, and then should have chipped out sideways, but chipped it into Barry Byrne and famously got into pulled up his trousers and took off his socks. And Peter Allis said he's gone gaga as he climbed into the water and thought about hitting out of the water. In the end, he actually made a brilliant 7 to get into the playoff, but his head was fried and hooked it away. The short version on the last 4 holes, 15 is incredibly difficult tee shot. Par 3 16th is very long. And then 17 and 18, by all accounts, are just miserably difficult. OB everywhere, water everywhere when you're under pressure. The Van de Velde thing, like, it's funny. He's done Sky Sports punditry over the last number of years, and he has a fairly, come see, come sa, such is life. I have great memories about the week kind of attitude. But it was really, he never won another major again. He never contended again. It was his big chance for, a place in history, really, when it came to golf. His ex-wife, Bridget, did an interview in the Sunday Times just this week with Nick Pitt, which was unbelievably interesting. Like, first of all, the day itself sounded horrific in that she was talking about how she was behind the tee on 18. She said, I wanted to shout par 5. In other words, play it as a par 5. You have a 3-shot lead. But I know a player's not allowed to accept advice from anyone except the caddy, so I just had to stand there. And she is a swing coach, so she said, I help him with his swing. And then, as Nick Pitt says, she says ruefully, his strategy and his course management. So she watches the whole thing unfold, and it's just, horrific. And she talks about at 18 afterwards, she was so upset for him, and she knew he was upset. But she was saying, like, it was getting dark, and they had to do a 4-hole playoff. So she had to run back to the hotel and get him some dry trousers. Because, he'd literally got into Barry Byrne. He was soaked, and she had to run back. And you can imagine, like, the deafening quietness of the hotel room after everything is like post-traumatic trauma almost. So she, find him trousers, run back, gets the trousers to him. And she says, there was no time to talk. I wanted to calm him down. I wanted to say whatever had happened, I was proud of him and proud of what he had done all week. They never got that chance to talk, to reset. Suddenly he was straight out on the 15th. The last 4 holes again is the playoff. Hooks it left. He's gone, and it's miserable. So, but in short, it's gone down in infamy, and you watched him being interviewed, and he seemed really well adjusted to it. But what she says is actually very different. So he spends the next 2 years traveling around the PGA Tour, and there are 2 girls with them, and they travel together. And she says, we were young, we had lots of money, we had the girls, but Jean was not happy. The joy had gone. He never forgave himself for what happened at Carnoustie. He lost his love of the game. And their marriage broke up within 2 years, is the other thing I didn't actually realise. So this happened in 99. By 02, their marriage was over. She puts it down to that in the interview. I'm sure if you talk to Jean Van de Velde, maybe he's got a different perspective on things. He might have said, nothing to do with that. But it's a fairly sad postscript to things. And yeah, her take on it is, he lost his love of the game. He never forgave himself. Now, the mad thing is, yesterday on the Sky Zone, they're making almost a gimmick out of it, where he's doing an interview and they play, no regrets, and they get him to replay the 18th on the Sky Zone monitor, and he's like laughing, and it's all fun. So you don't know for sure, but you read her account of things, you suspect he's probably just putting a brave face on things. But look, that's the madness at Carnoustie. And McGinley said last night, this thing can have a 5-shot swing with 3-4 holes to go, with 2 holes to go. Like, the mad things happen here. And we've had the last 4 opens, honestly, have been as good a sport as anything you'll see. Last year, Spieth making that mad bogey in 13, battle of Phil Mickelson and Stenson. You've just had unbelievable drama over the last couple of years, so this kind of lends itself to that as well.
Tragedy plus time equals comedy, though. That's why Van der Velde, probably 15 years on from the breakup of the marriage at least, can kind of go, it's fine now, everything's calm. I hope they're all still mates. Are they still mates? Was there a...
They have 2 daughters, so I hope so.
Yeah. All right. Pick winners for us, will you? Because Peter Lorre had some pretty interesting names.
Well, for the first time, serious people are talking about Tiger. So this week, independently of each other, Butch Harmon said he thinks Tiger will do it this week. Brandel Chambly said he thinks Tiger will do it this week. Hank Haney said he thinks he'll do it this week. Peter Lorre yesterday also said he thinks Tiger will do it this week. They just love the fact that, look, Tiger hits 50% of fairways with a driver.
Yeah.
It's like you just can't do that. So if suddenly he's on every fairway because he's hit an iron, and I watched him in his practice round last night, Sky showed a lot of it, he just hit irons off the tee. So people are saying Tiger has a big chance. I mean, if you just take a broad look at the betting, is maybe the best thing. I'll open it here. So Dustin Johnson is the favourite. US Open he should have won. Putt didn't drop for him at all on Sunday. Kind of the pressure got to him. So he's the favourite. Have it here. Yeah, Justin Rose is second. Again, I really fancied Rose for Shinnecock. Second shot golf course. He's a brilliant iron player. Precision. He's going to be thereabouts, even though his record isn't amazing in the Open. Then you've Ricky Fowler next. Everyone says Ricky Fowler has to win a major. He's got an okay-ish record at the Open. It's exaggerated. Like, he was second to Patrick Reed at Augusta. He's been 3 times a runner-up in majors, eight times in the top 5. He was second to McIlroy in 2014. But last year he was 22nd. He was 46th in 2016. He was 30th at St Andrews. Missed the cut the year before that. I don't know. I think his record is exaggerated-ish. Now, he did do well when Darren Clark won as well. But look, Fowler has to win a major soon. But people who tell you people tell you he's got a great Open record.
Yeah.
It's not that great. McIlroy 16-1. We can say a word about him in a second. Spieth 18-1. Spieth's like 180 in the putting. This is going to be a full calendar year since he won a tournament. I don't think you can touch him, even though he's capable of miracles. But I wouldn't. John Rahm has a big chance. He's going to win a major soon. Loves links golf. Tommy Fleetwood's 18s. Shot a 63 on Sunday at the US Open. He's going to win a major soon. Brooks Koepka has a massive chance finally then. Koepka's record is absolutely insane, and we never really talk about him. So he's just won the US Open gone by. He won the US Open the year before that. He was 6th at the Open last year. He was 4th at the US PGA in 2017. Missed this year's Masters with injury, but he was 11th at last year's Masters. So in short, Brooks Koepka in the last year, his worst finish in a major is 11th, and he's won 2 of them.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it?
It's an unbelievable record. So, you know, that brings you to 18-20-1 territory. Francesco Molinari, Peter Lorre doesn't think is a great links player. People will be looking at Molinari around 25-1 because he's in amazing form at the moment, but they're not sure about his links play. And like Garcia, who's along with Woods on 25-1, has a great Open record, loads of top 10s. Henrik Stenson has an elbow injury, 25-1, former winner, really good links player. Wouldn't have played this week if it wasn't an Open. So it remains to be seen how smashing his club off really hard turf again and again helps his elbow. Beware
the injured golfer, though, as Harrington always says. One last question. We didn't mention Rory yet. I mean, it seems like what you basically said about Jordan Spieth holds a little bit for McIlroy as well. If the putts drop, he's going to win this thing, because anytime the putts drop for him, he's going to win. But there's no sign, no evidence that the putts are going to drop.
I checked last night. Putting 10 feet or less, he's 132nd on tour. 10 to 15 feet, he's 114th. And 15 to 20 feet, he's 120th. There's just no good news there. There just isn't. Like, how can you back a guy with those stats? And at Ballyliffin, watching the body language even off camera, the shoulders are slumped. Brad Faxon, the guy's been doing some putting work with, emailed him about his body language because it's so bad on the greens. It's half the time you think he's misreading them, and then the other half the time you think they're bad strokes. He said after one of the rounds, when he had 34 putts, he should be having like 26, 27. He was saying it's a mixture of both. That's a bad combination.
But get a caddy who can read them? Is there no blame for him picking a caddy who's his mate? I know he's a good club golfer, but pick somebody who's actually got 25 years of reading greens, who knows all these greens, who's been at Carnoustie 4 times. You know, do all the things you can do.
Very legitimate point. Yeah, very legitimate point. Lots of people make that point. And it's harsh on Harry Diamond, who hasn't asked for any of this criticism. But I think it's a very legitimate point. It's something he should try, isn't it? Like, what is the harm at this stage in trying? Now, look, the one hope for Rory is, say the Bombers have struck gold. He's one of the best bombers ever. So then maybe he gives himself a ton of chances. Look, he's won one of these things before, but he was putting a lot better then. It's really, really hard to give him a big chance. But look, he's Rory McIlroy as well.
Joe, great stuff. Enjoy. Thanks a million.
All right, lads.